Okay. Well, this is a terrific day. This is another fun one on That's Classic. Today we have somebody that I swear this gentleman I have seen in so many different things. It's crazy. His face always pops up. He's a terrific actor. He was Bob Charles on Not Necessarily the News. He was I believe it's Heineman on Curb Your Enthusiasm, Commander Plank on Zenon Trilogy. A lot of things, but I want to welcome Stuart Pankin. Stuart, welcome to the show.
It's such a pleasure to be here.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. So I'll tell you what, right? Well, by the way, we were just before I hit play, I commented to Stuart, it's just so funny. We both have red shirts on. Talk about planning. I mean, unbelievable what's gone into this interview.
It's the mind meld thing.
It is a mind meld thing. Um, so I'll tell you what, right out of the gates, I know, we'll definitely talk about not necessarily the news, but I personally am intrigued by the fact that you were in Fatal Attraction and you really kind of steal the moment. I got to be honest with you. I know your character was
Uh,
Jimmy, but I've watched that, a few times, and you really, I mean, you're there with Michael Douglas. I mean, it doesn't get much more iconic, and you like take it.
well, that's very sweet.
It's the truth though. It really is. I'm not just saying that. I watched and I'm like, you stand out. You just pop. And what was that like during that shoot? Like, how did that come about? And obviously, what was it like working with Michael and all of that?
Well, that's a great question, and there's many long answers involved. But I was Adrian Lyne saw me, I guess, in not the news, not necessarily the news, and he wanted me to do it. The producers, who I become friends with, said we shoot in New York. He lives in California. We get a guy in New York, and Adrian, God bless his soul, said, "No, I want Stuart Pankin to get some comedy stuff." And I went and I read for it, and then we did an improvisation, and I got the job, and I was doing not the news at the time,
Hmm.
so it meant flying for a month. I flew back and forth to New York once a week to shoot Fatal Attraction,
Wow.
and then go back and do not the news. It was tough, but exciting. I mean, wonderfully exciting. I mean, the first day we were there, Adrian sent us all out, Ann Archer and Michael and me and my wife, who she's a wonderful lady, and of course I forget her because I'm old. Um, we went out to lunch. He wanted to get us, to know each other and be kind of friendly with each other. And working that movie was delightful. I mean, it was just delightful. First of all, it was exciting to work in New York. I was working in California for a while and never did a lot of film in New York. So just to work in New York was kind of exciting. And Michael Douglas and Anne and my wife, they were great. I mean, especially the party scene, and Adrian let us sort of improvise some of the stuff, and which made it fun. And we were also drinking real champagne. So
Oh,
by the end of the
Jesus.
by the end of the scene, everybody was a little high.
Oh, is that funny?
So it was a lot of fun. I mean, the shoe was great, and nobody knew that movie would become what it ended up becoming.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, absolutely no downside, no negatives except the red eyes that made me a little tired.
Yeah.
But
What
yeah,
about
Fatal
meeting
Attraction.
what about meeting Michael that first time where it's like, hey, why don't we all go out to lunch? What was that like being with, I mean, Michael Douglas, obviously Kirk Douglas, we're talking about like
Yeah.
the iconic family. For you, what was that? Had you met Michael before?
No, no. But that's an interesting question because I don't think I'm usually, I wouldn't say starstruck. I love looking at celebrities. I mean, when
Sure.
I first worked at Fox, my first job, I always got a seat in the cafeteria facing the door so I could see all these stars walk in because
I
I
love
love
it.
seeing stars. But I don't remember it like going, "Oh, wow, Michael Douglas." Maybe I did, but no, there was no bubbling of iconicism. I
Yeah.
made that. You can look that
Yeah,
up.
it's
I
a
made
great word, by the way. I'm gonna use it.
iconicism. Uh, and uh, and we got. I mean, he actually called me after the movie was done. He and was producing a failed reality show with dueling improv teams,
Oh,
and he called me and to be a judge with himself and Rhea Perlman, and they're very good friends, Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman. They're all good. So I did that too. So he must have seen something in me that he liked. So
Yeah.
we did that. But yeah, working with him was great. There was none of this star stuff or I'm better
Mhm.
than you or none of that stuff. He was just great.
And so when the cameras are, like you're both in your scenes and you both have very, like I said, distinct characters. When you are off camera, whatever, we're gonna take that was take one, we're gonna go to take two. Does everybody come back to like normality, or is he or are you one of those actors where you stay in character?
Um, no, I mean, I don't stay in character. I mean, maybe if I was doing an accent,
Hmm.
I might keep that going. I work with a lot of guys who came from different countries who did American accents, and they stayed, they did American accents, through the entire scenes and off camera. No, I don't remember. I mean, I really don't
Yeah.
remember uh, what happened off camera, but I know we had a good time. I mean, there was a scene in Fatal Attraction I remember in the bowling scene once he got a strike or I got a strike and he just jumped on me. That I didn't know that was going to happen. I mean, but I love stuff like that. I mean, I come from the theater, so if
Yeah.
something happens, you got to go with it. You have to react. You just can't sit there. Yeah, he was great. He was great. The
Oh,
whole
I
movie.
love I love hearing that. That's always been one of my favorites. Before we go on with the interview, I just wanted to remind you to please subscribe to That's Classic if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you'll know when my next episode is being released. Okay, let's go on with the interview. Another one is Honey I Shrunk the Kids, or in your case, Honey I Shrunk We Shrunk
We shrunk
Ourselves.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, one of my favorites. I mean, Rick Moranis, I have an acting background as well, and I've always appreciated like Rick Moranis's comedy, and that's up my alley type of thing. First of all, did you know Rick beforehand? What was that like working together? What's he like? Is he quiet when things are off, or is he on all the time?
Complicated questions, Jake. You're a
Hey,
smart
that's
guy.
why I'm here, Stuart.
Well, Rick and I don't remember if it was before or after. We did a movie. It was something about a bully, big bully.
Hmm.
Uh, he did it with Tom Arnold, and he was being bullied. And I was in that with a bunch of people. We had a scene in a bar where we came back and we were old friends. So, and I don't remember if that was before or after. I think it was after
Hmm.
Honey We Shrunk
I
Ourselves.
vaguely remember that movie, by the way.
Yeah,
I just can't think of the
I
title
vaguely
again.
remember it too. I never remember anything. But if I did that movie before, then I knew him. If I did that movie after, then I didn't know him. But again, a great guy. He was going through some problems. His wife was sick,
Yeah.
or about to be sick, and he eventually gave up acting for years to take care of his kids, which is just the most admirable thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but again, there were four people in it. You have to look it up because again, names go out of my head.
Hmm.
Um, and we had a great time. I mean, we had a great time. I remember we were hanging on wires, ready to be dumped into a big bowl of dip. That was the bit in the movie.
Yeah.
And and I looked over, we were hanging. I said, "Jesus, Rick, you got a little thing on your." He just started laughing. We couldn't stop laughing. He's starting funny. No, he was great. He's great. Um, Good actor, funny man, nice man, and yeah, I mean, I enjoyed every minute on the set with him.
You
So
two seem to play very naturally off each other, like real natural.
yeah,
Yeah.
but we had a good time. I mean, I always question the concept of those actors have chemistry. I don't know what that means,
Hmm.
but I if you do your job right and you
Hmm.
like each other, I mean, even if you don't, I mean, I've been on sets when the stars have they don't talk to each other, and yet they
Right.
get the job done, which is
Right.
kind of interesting to me. I won't go into details, uh, but
I would love to hear them, but I understand.
message me, I'll tell you. But Rick was, again, like Michael, he was a star, a celebrity, and everybody just got along great. I
I
mean, I
love it.
remember. I remember when we did Not Necessarily the News, something called TV Guide. You're too young to remember that.
I know TV Guide. Come
I know
on.
you do. I know you do. They interviewed all of us, and at the end, they called each of us on the phone and said, everybody seems to like each other, and it's everybody's being friends. Isn't there any dirt? They wanted dirt. They wanted, isn't there any conflict, any
Yeah.
controversy, contretemps that goes on? And we all said no. No, and we to this day those of us who are around, we're still friends, and that's why I feel with most of this stuff. When guys like you ask me questions, there's nothing negative
Yeah.
that I can think of. I mean, I guess if I digged into my past memory cortex, I might not. There are moments, of course, but generally, it's a great business. I'm just happy to be in it, and the people that I work with, for the most part, are swell.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm never, it's funny that you say that. I know a lot of I won't name specific networks, whatever, but I know that they love the dirt. I don't necessarily love the dirt. What I love is like a good story, that happened, or knowing what that person is like, just as a normal person. I'm more fascinated by that than I am that, oh wow, they were like this with their wife or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
That's not really my thing. I like people leaving the show feeling good, so
yeah.
so anyway, we're trust me, we are on the same wavelength there. So let's talk about not necessarily the news. So which I think you may be most famous for, but I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I knew you from quite a few things, but how did that all come about in the first place? Like, how did even just the idea of the show? Like, where does this all come from?
Not necessarily the news came from an idea from a show called not the 9 o'clock news, which is a British show.
Hmm.
I never watched it, but I think ours is a little different. But it was that kind of political parody or satire
Hmm.
that the English did first. So that's where the idea came from. Where I came from is complicated. I did, if sit back, get a cup of coffee. I have one. Um, I did. Oh, let me think about this. I auditioned for not necessarily. I auditioned for I auditioned for San Pedro Beach Bums, which was Aaron Spelling's first and last attempt at hour-long comedy.
Oh my
At
God.
the audition, there was a guy named Michael Douglas. Who produced Dinosaurs? Michael. Oh dear God.
You're not the first to in the moment go,
I
I
mean, this
can't
guy's been.
remember.
I've been working with him. Hey, Joy, who produced Dinosaurs? She doesn't hear me. What's his name? Michael. Anyway,
Don't worry
Michael
about it.
was.
I'm serious. This
Oh
happens
my
to all of us.
God.
I
I
do
got
it too.
just a minute.
No, you know what? What's going to happen, Stuart? This happens all the time in the comments.
He's a big producer. He
They're,
did Girl Meets World. He produced Girl Meets World,
yeah,
Boy Meets World.
they're going to write it in. Trust me, it's
All
coming.
right.
So
All
don't
right. So
worry.
anyway, he was there at the audition.
Yeah. Okay.
Then later, Michael was doing a show called No Soap Radio,
Hmm.
which lasted about 5 episodes. It had Bill Dana in it. These guys I remember,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and his writing partner was Ron, and he cast me in No Soap Radio, and Ron Richards was the writing partner. So I did that for 5 shows. Then I saw Ron Richards in a screening, and he said, I'm doing a show called not necessarily the news, and would you be interested in that? And I said, what is this? It was a cable show. I said, cable? What's cable? This
Oh
was
wow.
I mean, this was a time when cable had 29%, you should pardon the expression, penetration in the country,
Yeah.
and less with pay cable, less like
Yeah.
HBO, and less. Okay. So I said, sure. So I auditioned for that and got it. That's how that happened.
Wow.
And we were I mean, the first day, this is the truth. We went out to Silmar, someplace way out there. Our first dressing room was the men's room at the Esso gas station. Seriously, I set up a chair there.
Jeez, come
And
on.
the production coordinator, who was Nancy Severinsen, she's wonderful.
Doc Severinsen's wife,
Doc Severinsen's
daughter. Wow.
daughter was the production coordinator. She's remains to be great. So she said, I know we're in rough conditions, but if you could put some gas in your car from the station so they'll let us stay in the bathroom. This is all true. We didn't have dressing rooms. The girls used to open the car doors and change behind the car doors in the different sets.
Wow.
Used to sit on the rocks and shoo lizards and snakes away for lunch. This is the
Oh
way
my
it started. And I said, and one of the early things was a 5 o'clock call. We worked till 10 or 11, came back the next day at 5 o'clock to the same place, worked late. And I said to the producer, I can't do it. I mean, I can't do this. It's hard.
Yeah.
Then the next day she had a trailer. They got a trailer for all of us, costume, makeup, actors, everybody, which was great, because we all loved each other. And then surprisingly or happily, the show became what it eventually became, very successful. And when I tell this story to people about how it started and how I almost said, bye-bye, I'm glad I didn't, because Not the News it was so much fun to do, so interesting to do. And we traveled all over the country, to shoot stuff, and we used to teach improv classes at colleges. They sent us to colleges to do improv.
Really?
Yeah. And it was great. And to this day, Mitch Lawrence, Annie Bloom, and the beloved great late Danny Green, Lucy Webb, we're still tight. We still love it. Mitchie
Oh
Lawrence.
my gosh. How could you not be after an experience like that? You were really early on in that, like you said, when cable was really just coming up.
Just at the beginning, and the National Cable Television Association was new, and they treated everybody in whoever was doing cable, and including, well, I don't remember the show. Brothers was one of them. When I won an ACE award, I was competing with 7 people, including James Earl Jones and Art Carney. I lost. This is what I lost. The first 4 times I lost was to Frank Sinatra, Billy Crystal, Kenny Rogers, and then John Leguizamo. These are the guys I lost to, and then I finally won an award.
Wow.
So, but the Cable Association, they treated us very nicely, and they were trying to build up the reputation of cable. They wanted to, and it eventually did become, really well. And then, as you know, it network, it wasn't necessary anymore, because the shows that were done on cable are now streaming or network.
Right.
So cable sort of died away a little bit. But those 6 years that I did Not the News were great. I mean,
they were the heyday.
Yeah, it was great.
Wow.
That's the story. I'm going to remember his name before
we cut off the interview. You're like,
look up Girl Meets World producer, and you'll see his name.
Okay, that's right. Trust me, I've learned. I just leave it the way it is, and about 10 people will go, his name was Michael so-and-so in the comments. Yeah. It's good. So I'll tell you what, let's talk about the other one. I did quite a bit of research on you, and I know that one of your early mentors, because I believe you did it was it high school or college? You did his monologue, was Mel Brooks. I think it was his 2,000-year-old man. I mean, I have my own idols, that if I've met them, it's, it's interesting. But seriously, you worked with him on Life Stinks, which, what was that like to seriously meet Mel Brooks? I mean, this is like somebody that, obviously you had looked up to.
When I was in high school, the first thing I did on the talent show was memorize a 2,000-year-old man.
Wow.
And did it. That was my thing. Hello, I'm here, but you're not, and I'm here. That's the first thing I did. So I worked with Mr. Brooks 3 times, actually. We did Life Stinks. He cast me in a movie that he produced called The Vagrant through Brooks Films, which is not a bad movie. The late Bill Paxton starred in it. And then I did an episode of Mad About You with when Mel has a recurring character as an uncle in that show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he went to school and I was a teacher. So we, and the benefit of working with Mel Brooks and meeting him is to get to know Anne Bancroft. That's one of the
Wow. Wow.
great tools. That's another story. You asked me about that later. But anyway, that's interesting. That's an interesting story about life things. See, I'm old, so there's a lot of stuff.
Take your time, Stuart. We have all the time. I'm thrilled.
I auditioned for a movie called Mr. Christmas Dinner. It was about a fat guy who went into a family of cannibals. I don't even know if it was released.
Just the premise, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anthony, again, names. Who was in Psycho? Anthony.
Anthony Perkins.
Perkins was the director.
Wow.
Yeah. So I auditioned for him, and he said at the end of the audition, he says, "Well, Stuart, if I were to cast you, would you put yourself in my hands? Would you let me guide you through this movie?" And I said, stupidly, I said, "Well, Mr. Perkins, I would hope that if we got this movie, we would collaborate, and it would be a give and take."
Wow, that took guts.
I didn't get the movie. Later, I'm in a restaurant, and this guy comes up and says, "My name is Pat Proft," who is actually a very well-known writer. He worked with the Zucker brothers.
Oh, wow.
He said, "I was the writer producer of Mr. Christmas Dinner, and we wanted you to do it, and Anthony Perkins didn't."
Oh, said, God, is that great. Something?
And we exchanged some niceties. I remembered him. He produced a Robin Hood series, and I said to him, "I remember the jokes in that show, Pat." I said, "Hang up the banners," and and there were 3 people hanging up on the wall.
Oh, funny.
Said, I was the banner. I was one.
Oh, geez.
So anyway, he said, "We have a Christmas party, ironically enough, every year. Come." I said, "Great." I came. Great. And he's a terrific guy. At that party, he said, "I want you to meet somebody. Rudy," it was again, names. His name was Rudy, and he was Mel Brooks' writing partner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he was in the movie. He says, "Well, Mel's doing a movie called Life Stinks. Would you like to audition for it and meet him?" I said, "Yeah." That convoluted way, as wow. Many things happen, is how I got to me. I didn't even audition for it. I think I just met him, and he said, "All right, do it." And well,
tell me about when you first met him. I mean, Jesus, how cool is that?
That must have been. It must have. Again, I don't remember. It was in an office. It must have been thrilling. I mean, it just must have been thrilling. Because I mean, 2000, all his movies. I mean, it was just, he was, talk about iconic. He's
oh, come on.
Do I remember exact emotions or feelings? No. I don't remember names. I'll forget your name in 3 seconds.
No, you won't. I'm going to stay.
No, I have it on my computer. But yes, it must have been absolutely. And as much as I love, as I said, looking at celebrities, I try to hold it together. It's not like,
well, I'm sure. I get it. I get it. You're an actor. I totally understand.
I try to hold it together.
Right.
And
well, what was he like directing you? Because I just find him just a genius.
Yeah, he is a genius. He is a genius. He had a lot on his plate with that movie. First of all, it was the hottest summer in Los Angeles at that time.
Wow.
And we were filming outside a lot. I mean, really hot. He was an actor, the star, the writer, producer, director. He had a lot on his plate, and he was swell to me. Sometimes when the guys like Howie Morris was in the movie, some of his old friends, he could get a little, "Howie, come on," he could get that because they know each other so well.
Of course.
But to us, he was great. There was never any, as I recall, pressure or let's go, we're running out of time, we're losing the light, we're on the clock. It was none of that. It was all, considering the conditions, great. As a matter of fact, Rudy DeLuca, that's his name. We had a scene together in the movie, and I thought it could be better because I'm an arrogant son of a bitch, and I rewrote the scene.
Oh, wow.
A little bit, and Rudy was happy about it, and we filmed it. We filmed it.
Wow.
And we filmed it the original way too. And Rudy says, Mel's, because I wrote a song about Life Stinks. And the producers said, we love the song, but Mel is very proprietary about his music. And he should, he's Mel Brooks. He can
Sure,
do whatever
sure.
he wants. But we filmed that scene twice, both ways. And Rudy said, don't be disappointed. Mel's, he's going to do what he wants. And he put the scene in the movie. Apparently he went to the dailies and saw the movie and saw the scene. And he said, okay, let's use it.
The one that you
The one that I wrote for Rudy.
What an honor. I'm
You know,
sorry.
it is. But it's like Adrian when he allowed us to improvise and fail the track. I mean, it shows the depth and the of a man and the ease of a director and the confidence of a director to not to be like, God rest his soul, Anthony Perkins, who wants to, and there are tyrants. My God, I'm sure there are many
Oh,
tyrants.
sure. Come on.
And there are many stories about that. But these guys, Mel and Adrian, not a thing. They were open, and considering Mel and the burden of work that he had to do that movie was terrific.
Did he is he the type of well, I mean, yeah, I can only imagine as a director, but is he the type of actor that there's improv that happens on the shoots too?
Not that I remember. Not that I
Interesting.
remember. Not in the
Interesting.
scenes. Not the scenes that we had.
Yeah.
I actually mentioned I played a lawyer and there was an opposing lawyer, and I thought, well, I said to him, wouldn't it be interesting if I played both lawyers? Not that I wanted more money. I just thought it would be interesting. He said, and he thought about it for a second, literally a second, and he said, no, that's a little harsh. That's not good. So he's
Yeah.
not open. He's not just you do what you want.
No.
Like
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, I've heard when he directs, some actors say, well, Mr. Eastwood, what should I do in this scene? And he said, Clint Eastwood apparently said, taxi to a colleague of mine, I cast you because I knew you could do the part. I don't need to tell you anything. Just play the part the way I cast you to play the part. Play the part. You know.
I've heard he does 1, 2 takes. That's it. We're moving on.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, and you better know your stuff. Yeah, it's
All right,
very
good.
well known for that.
Can you see this?
Michael J. Jim Henson Television is associated with Walt Disney, distributed by. Yes, I can.
That's it. Michael Jacobs.
Oh, is that funny?
That's my wife.
She passed that on you. Not only did she pass it on you, but she wrote the entire thing.
Wrote the whole thing. No, she's great.
Oh, I
the funny
love
thing
it.
is, and the sad thing is, Michael and I, he moved to Florida, so we used to have lunch together. We used to play golf together. And then I forget his name. Please forgive me.
Oh, please. You know what? I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many of these interviews I've done, and it's like a name you would know, like Frank Sinatra, and I can't remember his exactly. I'm like, what was his last name? So I get it. I totally understand. If you want to get in on the fun of That's Classic, go to my merchandise store. You can get a t-shirt, a mug, or a variety of items. The QR code is right here on the screen. That'll take you right to the site, or I'll put it in the description below the video. Have fun, enjoy. Let's go back to the interview. Very interesting. Very interesting. You have so many. Another one, I Love Trouble, which, it was like so, but my God, Nick Nolte, Julia Roberts? What the heck?
Well, that was interesting. That's another wavy story,
Yeah, I love hearing it. I really do.
I did Irreconcilable Differences.
Oh God, no kidding.
Yeah, with Sharon Stone and he just died.
Oh, I should know that too.
He's the star of the movie. And he has this famous daughter. Anyway, Ryan.
It's not Ryan O'Neal.
You read that?
Yeah, exactly. It's not Ryan O'Neal. No.
Yeah, Ryan O'Neal.
Is it? Oh, it is. Okay.
So I did that movie, and it was fairly successful. And that was Nancy Myers and Charles Shire who produced and directed it. And then they were doing I Love Trouble, and it was like a 2-line thing. And it sounds like I'm patting myself on the patting myself. And I used to be Irish, but
I was Irish back in the day.
I was Irish back then. Yeah. And they called the agent and they said, can Stuart come in and do this small part? And I said, no, I mean, it's 2 lines. That would, they said, please do it because Irreconcilable Differences was successful. We consider him one of our lucky charms because they had a few actors.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was great. Irreconcilable Differences was, it's actually a very good movie. So I said, okay, I'll do it. Then I went down for 2 days And all right, I'm telling tales out of school. Remember, I said that you're on the set and people were in contretemps.
Yes,
Well, the stars of that movie were, for whatever reason, I don't know, they were not getting along.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did my stuff. I
Mhm.
did two. It was with Julia Roberts and Nick Nolte, and I was a photographer. He said, "Hey, can I take it?" But whatever I had to say, it was two
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
And the thing I remember was, besides the tension, um, was Miss Roberts, who I don't really know.
Sure.
When I was doing my off camera, she went away. Nick Nolte, God bless him, said, "Listen, do you mind if I'm not here for your off camera? Things I have to do in the dressing room prepare for the next scene." I said, "Absolutely." I mean,
Wow.
I thought I'll never forget that. And I actually saw him in the waiting room of a doctor's office once, and I said, "I'll never forget that professional courtesy that you
Yeah.
gave to me, asking." Some actors, they just leave. They do their stuff and they leave, and then
Right.
the
Right.
script supervisor. But I said I never forgot that kindness and courtesy, and thank you. So I have very warm feelings for Mr.
I
Nolte.
bet he really
I don't know him.
appreciated that
I
you
don't know
said
him,
that
but
to him in that waiting room. I bet. I
yeah,
seriously.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very happy I did. I will. I'm a guy, because I've done a lot of character stuff, that if I see an actor that often people won't wear, I'll always go up to them and tell them I enjoy their work. Always,
Hmm.
even if I don't, I will
Right.
go up to them and
Right.
say, I've enjoyed watching you. Thank you, thank you. Because I
I'm the
know I would
same. I'm the
enjoy it if
same way.
if they did it to me, I would enjoy
Right.
it. So anyway, that's the story of I Love Trouble.
Was uh and once again, I'm really sincere in this. I'm not trying to get dirt. I'm wondering when they did their scene together, though, was it like, oh, we're in character and we're back,
Absolutely,
and then
absolutely.
off and we go separate?
Well, I
Yeah,
don't know what they did off
right.
camera, but
But when
yes.
they were on, it was like we're on. It's got nothing to do
Yeah,
with whatever.
I don't remember. I really don't remember the movie that well, but I did see it, and you'd see no hint of that
Got it.
in the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not the only story about actors who don't get along and
Oh,
do
are you
terrific
kidding?
jobs on
Oh,
on on screen. So anyway,
watch some of my interviews. You'll get a real
really,
good sense. Yeah, and
really,
it's not like this negative, but people are very honest about like, yeah, it was a little, little bit of and I'm done with my scene. I gotta go. And then you have people like uh this is terrible. This is one of my moments. Murder She Wrote. Yeah. No, Angela Lansbury. This woman, I mean, I'm sorry, they should saint you put her as a saint. She would be with, like you said, two lines. She would be there waiting for the person so that they could do their lines directly to her. I mean, come on, so yes, there are both sides of that coin, which is really,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
Let's go to your irreconcilable differences, by the way. I mean, that's first of all, if I'm sitting at an office and I'm casting and I go, you know what? Let's do Sharon Stone and Ryan O'Neal. I mean, come on. That's pretty wild right there. They both have their own like energies or
Yeah,
whatever.
and
What
Sharon
would
Stone, I think at the time was not Sharon Stone. Now, I mean,
oh, oh,
it was before Basic Instinct or whatever the
oh,
hell
wow,
she
wow.
exposed herself.
Well,
I don't, but it was.
what was that like on that set? I mean, I'm not looking for dirty either, but what do you remember?
Well, I didn't have a lot to do with Miss Stone, first of
Uh-huh.
all. Although I saw her later, and she did, we did chit chat a little bit. I mean, like year later.
Oh, that's cool.
That is nice. It is nice that she didn't spit on me. And most of my stuff was with. I was an assistant director, and he was a director doing this parody of Gone with the Wind
Oh,
called
wow.
Sharon Stone had to sing a song in it. And my job was to say, come on, Ryan, whatever the character's name was, you're losing the light, you're losing the light. I got every fly in the state working. Come on, where now this is why. I mean, it was a wonderful scene. I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And he was great. And it was a 2-day shoot outside. I got the worst sunburn of my life. It
Oh
was a
God.
cloudy day, but we were
Yeah.
outside all day. I mean,
That's usually when you get it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that it was terrible. But again, it was the nice thing. It was a big set because it was Atlanta. It was a Run with the Wind party, so there were
Oh
horses,
gosh.
dead bodies, and so that was kind of fun to do that. And it was fun working with him. He was great. We actually recently they had a screening of it, and they had Charles Shire, Nancy Meyer, Ryan was there, and they asked me to do it. So I came up on the stage and I did, and I answered some questions about reconcilable differences, and so I got to see Ryan, sadly, shortly before he died.
I'll be darned.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that was kind of that was honorific for me. I really enjoyed that, and I mean, it wasn't a big part, but it wasn't a great part. It wasn't a big part, but it was a really good part. And
Was he as an actor, I mean, did he have that, like, I don't know. I mean, I always thought he had that special quality, that thing that just kind of,
well, yeah, I mean,
jumps out.
he was, again, like most of the other people I've ever worked with that are celebrities, a swell, nice,
Wow. Wow.
giving, give and take.
I love it.
It's not get out of my light, or
Hmm.
get out of my eye. It's they're very nice people.
Oh, I love hearing that. That's
I
very
do
cool.
too. I do too.
I do. It's just kind of cool. You have like so much, it's so funny. I talk to certain people and they have like a resume that you're just like, are you kidding me? And you're one of those people. I know, let's talk a little bit about Curb Your Enthusiasm, because there are mega fans out there for that
Yeah,
show. What First of all, how did that come about that you played the role of Ben? I think it's Heineman, right?
Heineman, Ben
Yeah.
Heineman. Everybody
Right.
thinks that character was a rabbi. He wasn't. He was just an Orthodox Jew
Oh,
who
geez.
was in charge of the organization which allocated livers. And the storyline was that Richard Lewis, again, rest his soul,
Oh
needed
God.
a
Yeah,
liver.
we lost him
Larry,
way too soon.
yeah, and Larry wanted to
David.
get him moved up. So Larry pretended to be an Orthodox Jew, and he hit my car
Oh God.
so that so he can meet me. I auditioned for that, and I did some fake Yiddish, blah, blah, blah.
Did you audition for Larry?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, no kidding. He's
I'm
right
pretty
in
sure he
there.
was in the room. I'm pretty sure he was in the room.
Wow.
Uh, well, I think it's his baby, and he
I
was.
mean, it's really his baby. Yeah.
So I think I have no idea, but I'm guessing that on with guest stars that have some significant things to do, he would want to know who
Oh
they are.
yeah.
So anyway, I got that, and a fascinating job, because they don't even want you to. They're very protective about even seeing the storyline. Sometimes you kind of knew the story. It's like the sides of what's going to happen that day. And I said, could I see what to the AD? Could I see what's going to happen? And he said, Larry doesn't want to.
Oh
They
my
want to talk
gosh.
about it on the set. So we got on the set, which was a deli, and basically he tells you what you need to say, what information you have to get in. And like, as I recall, I love baseball and skiing. I had to get that in, and for instance, and I'm making this up,
Yeah.
I would go, so Larry, I'm so sorry. I mean, so you hit my car. I'm glad that you're here. When I was cut, what you got to say now. You got to get in the fact that whatever you got to get
Oh
in the
my
action.
gosh.
Yeah,
Really?
action. Yeah, I was on the way to get tickets to a baseball game. I love. Oh, you like baseball? Yeah, I love it. See, that's the way that works.
Wow. Wow.
And I like to, when I went down to I'm making this up, but
No,
you
no,
know
no.
when I went to Florida, and because I love to swim cut, you got to get in that you love skiing.
Oh my gosh. That's tough as an actor. I mean, you're in the
Yeah,
flow
but
and it's like,
something.
whoa.
I've never done any professional improvising, but I'm pretty
Uh-huh.
quick,
That's
and
pretty darn close though to it right there.
it was challenging and fun. And as an actor, you didn't have to learn lines, which was the best thing is for an actor in the
I'm
world.
with you. I
Yeah,
love that. Yeah.
yeah, it was great. But it was exciting and challenging because it was free. You were just free to do whatever you want, because
Wow.
you didn't pay for the film. So if they wanted to cut and do it again, you cut and do it again.
Yeah.
And then it was great. We went up to, I think, Arrowhead, to do the skiing sequence, and there's a Iris Bear who was played my daughter. It was a wonderful actress. She was up there, and ski lift. Actually, it's become a kind of one of the more famous episodes,
Oh,
uh,
definitely.
because
Yeah.
she was stuck up there in the ski lift with Larry, and he couldn't touch her, and she jumped on. I mean, it was fun. Anyway, that was great. And then I guess they we did another, I guess we filmed it the same day, but it turned out to be 2 episodes when he came back
Mhm.
and said, I gave you the money and you didn't fix your car. And I said, well, if you must know, I gave it because my daughter needed breast implants. I mean, it was something
Oh my gosh,
ridiculous.
I love it.
So the entire Curb Your Enthusiasm experience for an actor was great. It's an actor, to me, it's an actor's dream because
Wow.
I can improvise if need be. We'll improvise for money, for food, and yeah, it was great. It was great.
Is he pretty much the same guy on and off camera? You know how he's
Well,
got
he
that just
is.
very droll, just
Yeah, yeah. He is.
oh,
He's very much the same guy. In all the scenes we did together, including up in Arrowhead. Yeah, he's that's him.
oh, is
That's
that
him.
funny?
Yeah.
Because that's what makes him so funny to begin with, you know. There was one that you did, and that I saw that I, I probably most of my audience be like, "What film is he talking about?" But it was the Hollywood Nights.
Oh,
That
baby,
you did.
you're talking about an iconic
Yeah.
teenage movie. Come on, audience, get out there and watch it.
But I loved, if I'm not mistaken, I think that might have been like Michelle Pfeiffer's, maybe her first film. I'm not sure. And
Tony Danza, Michelle Pfeiffer, Robert Wool, who was
yeah,
kind of the star, and
right.
a bunch of other people. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was
What was that shoot like? I don't know. I
yeah.
just always remember that.
First of all, because it took place at night. They were all night shooting. The entire shoot was
Wow.
at night, which meant for I don't remember how long we did it. Certainly weeks. You
Yeah.
know, you get to the set at 7 at night. You wrap at 4. You go home. You try to sleep. You're back to night.
I mean,
It was
that's exhausting.
all nights. Your whole circadian rhythm jumped up and bit you on the butt. You know, it was just.
Oh,
However, again, fun. I mean, I loved developing the character. It was called Dudley Laywicker, who was a he played the I forget what he played, a violin, I think. And
yeah.
he was harassed constantly by the Hollywood Knights until he did something, heroic and became a Hollywood Knight. Yeah, and that just all night shooting was hard. I
Oh,
mean,
that's so hard. Oh my gosh. More
yeah.
than a week of that alone. Do
Oh,
you
it's more than a
remember, like, Michelle Pfeiffer at that time, or even Tony Danza, I guess, for that matter?
I remember seeing them. I remember looking at Michelle Pfeiffer and said, "Gee, there's a pretty girl."
Yeah, yeah.
And Tony Danza, I remember. I did. What did he do? Who's the boss or something? I
Who's
did
the
an
boss? Yeah.
Who's the boss with him later, and we chit chatted about that. There was a lot of wonderful, young character people and
Mhm.
old character people in that movie, and it became, it became what do I want to say? Popular. I don't
Yeah.
want to say not iconic, but it became very popular. Anybody, when I used to go out in the world, people in uniform used to say, "You were in Hollywood Nights, weren't you?" But it
Wow.
was like postmen, sheriffs. Not that I deal with them a lot.
Yeah.
Policemen,
Yeah. Yeah.
anybody in uniform.
Wow.
And it's like the grassroots of America, like that movie, and remember that movie.
Oh,
I
big time.
I think I got a note from Barack Obama once telling me he liked me. No, I
You are. I loved you in Hollywood Nights. Um,
didn't.
so you know, by the way, I gotta tell you, I'm going through your credits and everything like that, and I see the Angry Beavers, which kind of
Oh,
cracks me up because that, believe it or not, I was up for down to the final three people to be the Angry Beaver, with another
wow.
actor who's a buddy of mine, Rob Stone, who was on a show called Mr. Belvedere. And
I know who Rob Stone is.
yeah, we were down to literally the last three pairings. We were there, Vine. We didn't get it, but then I go through your credits and I saw you were actually on there. I don't know if you have
I
any memories of that at all.
No, I have no memories.
Yeah,
The voiceover stuff that I did when I was doing Dinosaurs, um, uh, I got to know the casting director, the voice casting
yeah.
guy at Disney. So he put me into a bunch of voiceover stuff, which I'm very grateful for, but
Oh,
I don't
good.
remember any of it.
Oh,
well, I do remember some of it, but Angry Beavers, I don't remember.
oh, that's so funny. So what, you know what, we should talk about dinosaurs. Because I'm sure there's people out there that'll say, why didn't you talk to him about dinosaurs? But Earl Sinclair, how did you, first of all, how did you enjoy playing that role, and how much of Earl Sinclair is actually Stuart Pankin?
That's a good question. First of all, I enjoyed it. I used to say it's a job I loved having and hated doing, because you
Wow.
were in a booth
Yeah.
alone. In the beginning, we met as a cast, sat around the table at ABC and read the script.
Oh,
That
very,
didn't
yeah.
last a long time because you don't have to. So what they did, just to give you a little background, the Henson animatronic people came up with these extremely expensive and complicated devices to make the mouths move, the eyes move,
Yeah.
and they did the movements, and the guys in the suits. Bill Beretta was in mine, who was now a big producer at Henson.
Wow.
Walked around. It was the most expensive television show at the time, and maybe to this day, because of the animatronics and the
Wow.
maintenance of puppets, life-size puppets.
Yeah.
And then we replaced the voices. Like my guy was a guy named Mac. He was English. He go, "Hello, honey, I'm home. It's nice to
Oh,
talk to you. Here
oh,
I am."
geez.
Well, they didn't want that,
No.
but we were basically ended up in the booth. Um, well, the pilot, it took 2 8-hour days to do because all the brass was there and the mucky mucks, and so it was.
Right.
And eventually, it boiled down to a 6 to 8 hour day in the booth, and you had to
Long time in the booth.
replace. Oh, it's a long time.
It is. I have a voiceover background. I know it's Stuart, and that's a
Really, give me a
long
job because I need voiceovers.
time.
Uh,
Hey, can you talk to someone for me? No, I'm kidding.
we'll have lunch. We'll talk. We'll exchange resumes. But we had to. So they filmed it first, and we had to replace the voices, which is in some ways challenging because you're relegated to the and
Mhm.
and to the voice,
Matching that, trying to match that movement.
as opposed to what you wanted to do or how you wanted to react,
That's
which is
hard.
fine.
That's really hard.
It's a little challenging.
Yeah.
We got used to it. Toward the end, the Disney the animatronic people sort of figured out what I wanted to do, and then I figured out what they wanted to do, and we
Mhm.
came in the 3 years we did the show. We came to a nice understanding. But that's the way that show worked. Everybody
Wow.
alone in the booth. Um, and it's still, because it's been released on Disney
Hmm.
Plus. Uh, People are now really coming to see that show. I mean, it's not just me, but I'm going to say I get 10 to 15 autograph requests a week, mostly dinosaurs. They send
Isn't
in
that crazy?
dinosaur pictures to sign, and I'm saying it's not
I understand.
they sell it to other people, but
Wow.
the show has become, and it continues to be, very popular. Maybe because of the re-release on Disney. I think it's a great show. I think it was a great show.
No, it was a great show. So do you feel like you put some of yourself into that character or not?
My initial reaction is no. I
Uh-huh.
mean, once you come up with the voice, once you come up with. I mean, I remember in the beginning they wanted them very like this. They just wanted, and I kind of said, well, there are shades to the character,
Right.
uh, and so sometimes it's "Frank, I'm home," and sometimes it's "Come on, honey, come on, let me have a bit,"
Yeah.
and they eventually let me do that, which made it much more interesting for me to do it. Um, do I put anything in myself in? I guess Olivier said, actors have four people in them. That's it. They have a total of four people in them, which they use when they act.
Isn't that
I
funny?
don't know. Maybe, there are certainly elements of myself in it because it's my voice. It's but
Yeah.
I don't think I say, "Oh, when I come and slap my son, I think, how would I do that?" I don't think
Right, right, right,
I
right,
don't think
right.
I did that.
Yeah, because I can really feel you in there. It's really funny. And then you've done a ton of TV as well. And one of the things that I saw on your resume was the Golden Girls, which, if I'm not mistaken, don't you? Well, I don't know if you already knew her, but I know that you had like a relationship with Betty White as well.
Yeah.
So, did you know her before the Golden Girls, or was that after the Golden Girls?
I think Betty and I, according to what I see on YouTube,
Yeah.
we did a game show together, at least one game show together first,
Okay.
or a game show pilot.
Hmm.
Then we did Golden Girls. And then Bob Stewart, who is, my dear friend and the producers of Pyramid and Password and all that
Wow.
game
Wow.
show stuff. Look him up. He's passed away now, but he and Betty and a bunch of other people had this Pico Poker Club. Bob lived on Pico Boulevard, and they used to go to his house and have play dime, dime ante poker.
Oh,
Betty,
I'm sorry. That's funny to picture Betty White sitting at the poker table. I'm sorry.
oh,
That
she
that
she she loved it. We played poker maybe once a month for
wow.
years. That game and another game that mutual friends had. She loved it. She was sad every time the game ended. She always
Oh,
like,
wow.
we're talking about dimes,
Right.
dimes. Absolutely loved it.
Was
And
she a good poker player, by the way?
not bad, we
Yeah.
we play strange games, so who knows? I mean, I don't think I'd want to put money on her in Vegas, but she but the joy of it was that and before I knew her, she invited a bunch of the Pico poker players up to Carmel. I think she had a house there, and everybody stayed there and they played poker.
Oh,
So
is that great?
she was a good person, a good friend, and talk about genius. I mean, just from the beginning of television, she was a pioneer,
Oh, yeah.
and funny and dirty and wonderful, just wonderful.
Yeah, I heard I had when she passed, they had quite a few interviews and things. And one thing that I had heard, and actually this you could validate, I'd like to know, is that she was very much about positivity and like positive and like she didn't really want to get in, like involved in too much like negativity. Like somebody might be talking about something, and she'd be like, I don't really want to go there. Like I want to.
I'm sure
Was
that's
that
true.
true?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't been privy to a lot of her private conversations or interviews, but yeah, she was. Look, she lived to 99 years old. You
I
can't
know.
you can't be a negative person like me and live that long. I mean,
Yeah.
she was just, everybody loved her. I mean, everybody who knew her loved her, and I think there's a reason for that. First of all, her humanitarian things with animals was primary in her life.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that carried over to people. You
Yeah.
know, you can't love animals and not like people. That's my
Right, right. Yeah. Her husband, Alan,
love him.
thank you.
That
Um,
I remember.
yeah, yeah. Hey, you backed me up. See, there you go. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. But he's actually from Wisconsin, which is where I'm originally from, and he
Ah,
is actually buried back at his small town that he was from, back there. After all, all the notoriety he had out here, I heard he was buried back there in his same small town. I don't know
uh,
if she is, but I know that he is, and that's pretty wild.
yeah. I don't know where. I know this might be apocryphal, but I hear that her last words were, "I love you, Alan," or "Alan loved me,"
Oh,
or
I don't
something.
doubt that.
They were very. I never met the man. They were
Sure.
very, very close. Yeah,
No, I know that was a true love affair. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
yeah.
So, uh, what was I going to ask you? Oh,
I don't
the
know.
Golden. Do you remember shooting the Golden Girls?
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah. What? Because I know well that's a whole nother background, but I have a connection there as well when they did Golden Palace. I was definitely around. But what was it like being on the set with those four ladies?
Um, f- First of all, you're asking me questions about things that I did, before you were born. Second of all, I do remember we read the script. We all went in and everybody was there and read the script.
Yeah.
And it was okay. And I remember
Hmm.
B. Arthur telling the guest cast, just looking at the guest cast, he says, "It'll get better. Don't worry. It'll get."
Wow.
So she was very. And I used to, because of the cable stuff, I used to run into Estelle Getty a lot
Yeah.
and kind of chit chatty friendly with her. Of course, Betty, for years we've become friends. B. Arthur, I don't know a lot, and neither Rue McClanahan, I don't know a lot, but it was from my memory, and as you can tell, it's razor sharp.
It's so razor sharp, it's scary.
It's scary. I just cut myself on my front cortex. Uh, It was fine. It was nice. I had I was they were in a hotel, a crappy hotel, and I was the guy who, you know.
Mhm.
But it was my memory is that everybody got along well, loved each other. I don't know what problems, if any, they had, you know.
I'm not sure.
I mean, that show ran. How long did that show run?
Oh, a long
140
time.
years? Yeah.
No, but it felt like it. No, it was on
Yeah.
for a long time. What, by the way, when you mention Estelle, so what, because she out of all of them, kind of like they really made her like the old whatever and
She
all
was the
that.
youngest one.
And that's what I'm saying. So what was she like when you guys would chat and stuff like that? Like, I don't think most people have any sense of what she was like as a person
Well,
because of
I don't think she was on the set when I did my scene with the guys, but we used to chit chat briefly,
yeah.
outside. She was vivacious and glowing and pretty.
Wow.
She did herself up good, and she was happy. She's a happy lady.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? God, it just shows you what a great actress she was.
Yeah, she did a great job, and like I said, the youngest one of them.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of things here. I'm going to throw out a couple of credits. If you don't remember anything, don't worry about it. But
I'm not going
these
to.
were a few that I had down that caught me. Family Ties.
Yeah, remember it very well.
Well, that I'd love to hear about because I was always personally a massive Michael J. Fox and the whole the whole
Yeah,
game.
I don't remember details. I remember the character.
Yeah,
I remember working with Michael Gross
yeah.
and Michael J. Fox. Again, I don't remember a lot of the details, but I remember having a nice time on the set. Everybody was, see, if people are nice to you when you're a guest part on a
Oh, it's
show like
hard.
that, or any show, but
Yep.
especially a famous show like that, the directors sometimes niggle at you, because they can't do it to the stars. They niggle
Right.
at the guest spot. I don't remember. I remember that happening on some shows, but not that one. And I just remember having a nice time with Michael Gross and all the people of the show. I mean, it was fine. But like I said, I don't remember a lot of it. I remember picking him up once. I remember I was his uncle or something, and I just went over and picked him up and spun him around. And
Oh my
remember, I
gosh.
played the bagpipes in one scene and woke up the whole family. I think I was a character, the uncle, and when they turned the calendar around, it had my picture of it, and it was a dartboard. I mean, that's how
Oh, is that
I wasn't the
funny?
favorite uncle. But yeah, again, I don't remember a lot of details,
Yeah.
but I remember having a nice time on the set.
It's funny, the way you described it, by the way, about like the director nitpicking that. I had Eric Roberts on recently, and he was saying, look, The Righteous Gemstones, he was on that. He considers that one of his favorite roles, and he loved it, and he loved the cast. But he said, you got to know though, too, that when you are coming in and they've got their family, he goes, you're only going to get so close, no matter how good their part is, and he said that's what it's like, when you go on some of these shows, you walk away, you had a great
Exactly.
experience, but you're only going to get so close. And I think that said it well. I mean, that's kind of like what you
Yeah,
were saying,
that's exactly right. I don't think I was ever on a TV show as a guest spot that. Oh, well, that's not true. For some strange reason, I was on Days of Our Lives. It was a joke. I mean, it was almost. We were doing not necessarily the news on some lot, and some woman came up to me and says, "I'm producing Days of Our Lives. Would you like to do a soap opera?" I said, "I've never been a soap opera." Yeah, I said, "Okay." So like a one shot. So I walked in, and the makeup room was filled with people, and then I walked away, and it filled with more people. And I said, "Gee, they're doing a lot of soap operas." And he says, "No, it's just one.
Oh
Those are the
my
kids."
gosh.
So I remember that was just lucky. It was fun. I started out as a record dealer. 5 days later, I ended up being taken away in handcuffs by the police. I have no idea what happened in that show. But I'll tell you one thing: my cousins, my young cousins, loved it. Duel, they call it, Days of Our Lives. So I actually did go out to lunch with two of the stars of that. The woman, who was a wonderful woman, and I said to her, my cousin, and I brought him to the set, but they couldn't see the scene because it was a sex scene. They were
Oh,
two people
wow.
in bed, and they were young, so
Yeah.
they couldn't go in and meet her. I wish I remembered her name.
It was a
But
Dierdre
I
Hall,
said,
wasn't it?
my cousins love your show. They watch it.
Yeah.
She says, really? Where are they? She said, they're staying in California with their grandparents. Give me their number. She called my cousin at my uncle, his grandfather's,
Wow.
talked to him, sent him autographs, sent him Days of Our Lives stuff. You have to look her up and put that
Is
in
it
because
Dierdre Hall?
Dierdre Hall,
Yeah.
Dierdre Hall,
Yeah.
Dierdre Hall. She was so unnecessarily kind
Wow.
to this kid who loved the show. Didn't have to do it. but I'll never forget that. And that's the time that I did go out to lunch with some of the stars.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
it's a great
hearing
story.
that though.
Great story.
Yeah. No, she is quote unquote iconic, and I've heard great things about her, and I love when you
Good.
get validation like that. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Good.
Um, I don't know if you remember this movie or not. Once again, Congo, the Tim Curry, Laura Linney. You got Joe Don Baker.
Oh, I remember that. I got that because
Yeah.
we had done Arachnophobia, directed
Oh
by
yeah,
Frank
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Marshall.
yeah, yeah.
And then Frank directed, and he said, you want to do this small, again, 2-3 lines part.
God,
And for Frank Marshall, you do anything. I mean,
right. Yeah.
so
This
I
is a
said, yeah, no,
major movie.
he was, and that's how I got that. We came in, we sat down 2 days in the audience. He wanted somebody that the audience could look at it and associate it with comedy,
Mm-hmm.
because that's kind of what I did. He wanted to make sure that people knew that they could laugh,
Yeah.
at some of the stuff in the movie. So that's how I got that. And I mean, that again, nice. I think I did a scene with an actress who was Robert Zemeckis's wife, because they
Oh
were,
shoot.
yeah. I sat in an audience when the monkeys came in and they were
Mm-hmm,
talking.
mm-hmm.
I think it was with her. Incidentally, speaking of that, to go back, Eric Roberts was married to a woman who was the assistant on No Soap Radio. So that's kind of interesting.
That
She,
wasn't
she was
Eliza.
the
That wasn't
assistant
when
to
he was with Eliza, was it? Eliza Roberts?
Eliza.
Eliza
Yes.
Garrett. It would have been at the time.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
she still married to her?
They are still married. I literally just released that interview, and she is
I
yeah,
love her.
she's oh God, I love her too. By the way, she was also in Animal House. She was yeah, she played this part Brunella. She's been in a lot of different things, but yeah, she's casting director, she's
Yeah.
produced. I mean, unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an interesting connection to No Soap Radio. Michael Jacobs and Mort
Wow.
Lockman was the producer director. Yeah, it's all show business, man. It's like
It is. Oh, it is. Trust me. We're all. Yeah, it all starts connecting. Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
get
find out that we're related through 23andMe or whatever.
it.
We say, oh
Exactly.
yeah, he's my cousin.
Exactly. Oh my God. So yeah, so there were a lot of different things. What about like Falcon Crest or Knott's Landing or Walker, Texas Ranger, any of those?
Well, yeah, Walker. Well, remember those names because I'll forget them. Walker, Texas Ranger. I auditioned for, but I had done a movie called An Eye for an Eye with Chuck Norris years ago.
Wow.
Christopher Lee was in it, Mako. So when I auditioned for it, he was in the room, Chuck, and he was enthusiastic, and that's one of the reasons I got that part.
Wow.
So that was Walker Texas. What was the other one?
Was Falcon Crest?
Now that's a fascinating story. You have time?
You know what? I don't. No,
I
I'm
did
kidding you.
first.
I got a ton of time. No, tell me.
I did I had 2 days on that movie.
Yeah.
I shot Friday and I was going to shoot Monday. On Saturday, I took my out of town relatives to the Magic Castle.
Yeah. Oh, I love the
In the
Magic.
parking lot, I was reaching for a seatbelt. The car park person closed the door on my finger, cut it off.
Oh my God.
My wife scraped it off the door jamb.
Jesus.
Ambulance came. Here it is. It's a short for you. Luckily I kept the nail bed, so it doesn't like Telly Savalas lost his finger down to here.
Oh
But
my God. I didn't know
so
that.
went to the hospital, tried to put it back on, fairly successful. However, I couldn't. Uh, I was messed up for Monday, so I called the agent and I said, please tell him I'm sorry, I can't do it. So they replaced me with another actor,
Wow.
the Jane Wyman. Jane Wyman.
It is Jane Wyman. Yeah. Yeah.
Jane
Robert
Wyman
Foxworth. Yeah.
said to the producers, I like that kid because we had one scene. We already did a day of shooting. I
Wow.
like that
Another
kid. Get him
iconic.
something else. Get him something else.
Wow. Is that cool?
They got me so they put me in, and it was a recurring part for 7 or 8 episodes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was one of the unluckiest things professionally that happened. And I remember walking around the set with my hand up like this because of the blood, and
The
then when we
blood.
shot,
Yeah.
I put it down and we did the scene. Jane Wyman was responsible for giving me a few bucks and a nice job.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah, so
gosh.
that's a fascinating story. I lost a finger but got a job.
Yeah, that is fascinating. And also, I mean, I love that out of all the actors you pick, Jane Wyman comes to your aid. I mean, this is somebody like like I said, she's up there with like
Yeah,
a lot of the famous ones. I
I'm
love
very
hearing that.
grateful. Yeah, I'm very grateful to her. Very
That's
grateful.
fascinating. Oh, the other one was Knots Landing. I don't know. On that one, you played Benny Applebaum.
Benny Applebaum, a part I love playing. I mostly did Michele
Oh
Phillips.
no, Michelle Lee
Not
or
Michelle.
Donna
She
Mills.
she directed it. Wait, my wife has another note.
Sure.
Oh, she said, I did Little Brother. That was the name of the movie with Michael J. Fox.
Brian Bonsall.
Yeah,
How nice. What was
yeah.
that?
How nice close they were.
Oh, oh,
Oh, Michael J. Fox was very, yeah.
he was what?
You saw, you sure it was Michael J. Fox and not Rick Moranis?
No, for Family Ties, it would have, yeah.
Oh, Family Ties.
For Family
Michael
Ties.
J. Fox,
Yeah,
apparently,
yeah.
my wife, who knows everything,
And
they were
Brian
very
Bonsall was the
close.
youngest,
He
really
and
little
Michael
kid.
was very nice to him.
Oh.
Okay, but forget Michael. He's famous. Get back.
And tell your wife I love her already, but go on.
We're talking about Knots Landing?
Yes, Knots Landing, Benny Applebaum.
Yeah, Benny Applebaum. That lasted about 7 or 8 shows, and it was with Michele Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas.
Oh, that's it. Michelle Phillips. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, mostly
Gotcha.
my stuff was with her, and again, very
Wow.
nice lady. And
Did you say she was directing or Michelle Lee was directing?
Michele Lee directed
Okay, gotcha.
some of the episodes of Knots Landing.
Yeah.
In fact, she took us out on a boat once, which was very nice.
Wow.
But anyway, the one thing I remember, I enjoyed that part a lot. I liked that character. Kind of a, like a kind of little meepy guy. But I remember I had in the scene, I'm taking a cup of coffee and I look over and as scripted, he says, looked over and Michele Phillips was naked or topless. And I said, okay. So during the take, action, I'm doing the thing and I turn around and she's topless with Band-Aids on the nipples to be to make it interesting for me. It was like, whoa, So that I remember. Yeah, it was great. It was great. I mostly did my stuff with her, and it was a fun eight shows.
I didn't, because Michelle Lee, it'll happen. I mean, we're still talking about having her on the show, but what was she like as a director? I didn't even know
again,
that she directed.
Long time ago. I remember we filmed it at AFI up at the old mansion up there.
Oh yeah.
Before, I think they sold it. It's not there. It's there, but it's not AFI anymore. I remember, again, I don't remember details, but again,
you went out on a boat. She took everybody out on a boat. I guess
she
things
had,
we all.
she invited the people down to the marina. She had a friend who had a boat, like a speedboat.
Wow.
And I didn't go, and I don't know why, but my wife and my son went, and my wife said they opened the thing up, and it was like, we're going to die.
Oh my gosh. That can be scary when it's like whipping.
She was nice that way. I mean, that was nice. She enjoyed the cast, and I don't remember a lot of details.
It sounds really interesting. I love it. We better talk about Zenon Trilogy, by the way, because I'm going to hear from somebody that's going to say, "Hey, you didn't say anything about Commander Plank or whatever."
Commander Plank, baby.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me on that end how did that come about? And basically,
audition.
Good.
Yeah, it's a really popular kids thing now. I mean, Zenon. It was an audition. I auditioned for Julia Taylor and got it. And we filmed the first one in Vancouver.
Wow.
And then the second one in New Zealand.
Oh my God.
And they wanted to film the third one in Bangladesh, but thank God they didn't do that. So we ended up in South Africa, in Cape Town, that's a whole other story. But Commander Plank worked his way through those whole thing. Holly Fulger was my girlfriend, wife, who I still stay in touch with, Holly.
Wow.
John Getz, Rob Curtis Brown were some of the guest stars on it. A lot of kids rolling around.
How long would you shoot for in each of those places?
That's a good question. At least 2 weeks.
Wow.
Or maybe more.
Okay.
Because I remember New Zealand, we had some time off, and Rob and who did I just say? Well, we took a trip in the down in the upper island of New Zealand. So we had
North,
time.
yeah,
So
North Island.
it was a long shoot.
Wow. That's a beautiful country, though, to have done
It's a
that in.
beautiful country. We never made it to the South Island, which is supposed to be spectacular, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
and terrific
Alba.
people, terrific people,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nice people.
Okay, look, you got to go back. You got to tell me something about the South Africa thing. You're like, well, that's an interesting story. What? What was interesting?
Well, first of all, it's from Los Angeles. It's the longest travel from that you can take. It's
Oh, I
like
didn't know
halfway
that.
around the world. Yeah. We and it was a hard travel. It was like a night flight, stopped in Atlanta. We took a nap. We went to Valverde, which is an island off the Cape of the Northern African Cape, to refuel. In
Gosh,
the old days before COVID and 9/11, I think it was before 9/11, they let you get off the plane and, you know,
stretch.
no, because of 9/11,
Wow.
you had to stay on the plane. Then it's an 8-hour trip again down to the south to Cape Town in
Wow,
Africa.
that's a long day.
It's a 50-hour travel day. When I
Oh
got
my
to Cape Town,
gosh.
I couldn't swallow. I was so tired. And I
Wow.
said to the people, I said, "Hi, could I go to your room's not ready?" I said, "Could I have anything? Just put me in a bed." And I don't even remember falling asleep. It was just the
Wow.
hardest travel day. That started it. Now, the shoot was fine.
Sure.
And we had to take shots for malaria and stuff. And I
Oh
said
my
to the
gosh.
guy, I said to the nurse on the set, she said, "What are you taking?" I said, "These malaria pills." She said, "You're in Cape Town, South Africa. A mosquito would have to get into a plane in Namibia, halfway up in the middle of Africa, fly down, get out, and bite you to have malaria. There's no malaria here."
Wow.
That
Wow.
was kind of interesting. So
Yeah.
that made my mind rest. But the shoots, all those Zenon shoots were great. Holly Fulger and I were very friendly, and we hung out a lot because we were, two of the adults on the set.
Yeah.
And I remember New Zealand. We took a boat to the whole cast with the director Manny Koto, who was I think he died, but he was a big producer director.
Wow.
We went to an island and went to a wine tasting winery dinner play. It was a wonderful,
Ah.
the people liked each other. We got along very well. Again, no dirt.
No, I got it. I don't know why.
You get to
I'm kidding.
see, you get to see, well, Vancouver I've worked in before, but New Zealand and South Africa, Cape Town, I
Oh,
have
come
friends
on.
who go to Cape Town regularly because they have relatives there, but not me, pal. Not again unless
No,
I'm going
I
to
didn't realize it
safari.
was that far.
The only
That's a
way to
long
go,
way.
the only reason to go to Africa is on safari. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. You know what? We got to circle back because you mentioned Anne Bancroft and you said, "Hey," and remind me. And of course, you and I have gone all over the place and it's been fun. What was that like for you to meet
Well,
Anne and how did you meet her?
oh,
All that.
that was great. My wife and I love her.
Hmm.
We saw her in a play in New York called Joy. What's the name of the play with Anne Bancroft? Duet for One. It's a two-hander with Max von Sydow and
Wow.
Anne Bancroft. Okay, so
Wow.
that's now passed.
Yeah.
So now there's a rap party for Life Stinks.
Hmm.
Anne Bancroft is there. First time we've seen her. So Joy and I, who we love her both, go up to her and say, "Oh, Miss Bancroft, we are such fans of yours." She says, "How many times did you see the Graduate?" I said, "Well, we saw the Graduate a lot, but what blew us away was Duet for One, and her eyes. When we mentioned Duet for One, her play, and she was great in it.
Wow.
Her eyes just sparkled, and we spent the next whatever talking about Duet for One and how great she was.
Oh,
She was a person who had muscular dystrophy and played in a wheelchair the whole play. She was
wow.
great. But that's the first time I met her, and had a wonderful talk with her. The second time was when I was doing Mad About You, and I was playing the teacher, and Mel was the uncle,
Yeah.
and she was in the audience. I guess they liked each other. And I saw her, and I think she went, "Come on," And I went over. And I said, "Oh, Miss Bancroft, how wonderful to see you again." And we had a little chit chat then. I love her. I think she's spectacular.
Oh, she was class.
Yeah.
I mean, total
So
class. Yeah.
so that's Anne Bancroft.
Oh, I love it. Well, you know what? I
I
think
also remember going to Fox, and they were sitting there. I was bold at the time. It was after Life Stinks. They were sitting having lunch, and I just pulled up a chair and started eating Mel's food.
oh my God, I bet you love
I
that.
took a chance. I took a chance.
Oh, you got to take a chance. Oh,
Yeah.
without it. I loved your attitude, by the way, at the top when we were talking. You're saying that you would go to the commissary and you turn it towards the door to watch. Because you know what? it's kind of funny about acting. Sometimes you have actors where it's like, hey, look, we're all actors. We're all actors. Yes, we are. But we also have, people that we look and we go, that was an incredible, to see you in that. So that must have been, I love that you did that though, that you would do that and like see who would come through and stuff like that. That's
Yeah,
neat.
I did, and I love it to this day. Like I said, I love seeing actors to this day. I might not. I mean, I had a chance for some. It's not important to tell Anthony Hopkins how much I like because he lived near where I live, so I ran
Wow.
into him a couple times. So I had a chance to do that. I stood in line to shake hands with Jimmy Stewart, who was my old time favorite, movie actor.
I still think he's,
And I stood in line to shake hands with Sidney Poitier at some function, but literally stand in line waiting for guys to go by.
wow.
And I shook hands with Bill Cosby once, but I don't want to talk about that.
I understand. Don't worry
He
about it.
groped me, and I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. Jeez. I love it. You had to drop that.
But anyway, I love celebrities, and I love actors. I love character actors.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's important that you have that. The only other thing I think we should close on is arachnophobia because we mentioned it and then we didn't really talk about it because
Oh
you
no,
got
I
Jeff
got many.
Daniels.
I got 2 hours more stories. Let's go.
Well, Jeff Daniels and John Goodman were in that and both great, just great actors. How did you get involved in that and what was it like working with that?
Well, interesting. The agent said there's a part, in Arachnophobia. Go to Universal and meet Frank Marshall, and I
Yeah,
did. I sat there. We just talked. We just talked.
really?
Audition, didn't read anything. I go home. I said, "You got the part."
Huh.
It was one of the first times that happened that I can think about. Check it
Wow.
with my wife to see. And again, it was great. Jeff was great. Um, Brian McNamara was also in that movie. Who I don't know if you know him. He's a wonderful actor. Roy Brocksmith
Hmm,
was a wonderful character actor who died.
hmm.
He was in it, and we became very friendly. I wrote a song about arachnophobia, which they used in the trailer. They took bits and they used
For
bits and
real?
pieces. Yeah, if you ever, I don't know if you can ever get the trailer. I have it, but they used the song that I wrote, bits and pieces of it, in the trailer. It's a
How
sweet little
cool.
town. Take a bus, come on down. You'll find blood on your lip. Tickle. But it was a cute song, and Roy and Kathy Kenny, who was on, she was an improv actress, and me, we recorded the song over lunch during lunch. See, that's the kind of set it was. Everybody was,
Wow.
willing to give up. The crew was willing to give up the lunch so that we could just record the song.
Oh,
Uh, it was great. It was in Cambria. I shouldn't say that because everybody are going to go there, and I wanted to keep it a secret, but it's not a secret. It's a
I know
beautiful place.
Cambria. I've stayed
Yeah,
in Cambria, and Cambria
yeah.
is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, but don't bleep it out because I don't want people going up there because it's a
I
beautiful.
agree. You're right.
But we spent 4 or 5 weeks up there.
Wow.
It was fabulous. Henry Moore was another actor, old wonderful character actor.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
There was a lot of wonderful character actors, people. Harley Jane Kolzak was Jeff's wife. Yeah, we had a wonderful time, and Roy and I became very good friends. Roy sadly had diabetes,
Oh,
and he lost his feet.
mm-hmm. Very
And
cool.
he had a foot party. He came to his house. He's an interesting guy. He had a theater in his house. You used to go through his house, through the bedroom, into the living room. He had chairs set up, and people would do plays in his house.
Oh my gosh.
But when he lost his feet to diabetes, he had a foot party. He had Dr. Scholl's things and inserts hanging from the trees. He
Gee.
was he was great. He was great. And then he succumbed. He used to people. He was very well liked in the business, and producers used to give him jobs as judges,
Wow.
so he could sit behind the desk, behind the thing,
Yeah,
and
like without
it was very very sweet for them to do that. But
I
anyway,
love
Jeff was great. Brian was great.
John
Everything
Goodman.
was a great. John Goodman. I did have a few scenes with John. He was great. And then later, the artist. We did the artist together.
Oh, you
John,
did the artist. I don't know if I
yeah,
spotted that.
briefly. Well, briefly, but we chit chatted about that. And I see John at the grocery store occasionally because he lives in the area. John was
Oh,
great.
that fun. Is
And
he a normal? Would you say like is he like your everyday kind of guy?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, if you didn't know, of course, yeah. He
I
doesn't
love
walk
it.
around with sunglasses and bling as much as
Right.
Radetzky.
Well, no, it's so funny. I think he is, and I mean this in a great way. I think he's so underrated. It's ridiculous. I think he is such a natural talent. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But he's done a lot of terrific stuff, and
Yeah, I
he's still
know.
doing a lot of terrific stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. I actually, the first time I met him, I was pulling out, and he was in this. We were in the same hotel motel, and I said, "Hi, John, Stuart Pankin. We're in the movie together. You want to have dinner?" He says, "No, no, no. I've got some work to do." And I thought, "Oh well, But that's not true at all. He had work to do. He just didn't want to go out. And then later, we became not friends but friendly.
Wow. I love hearing that. That's cool. Very cool.
It was a
Well,
good. It was a good shoot.
yeah. Well, I got to tell you, yeah, you covered most everything. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anything
You
off the
got the
top of my
resume.
head. I can't. You have so much in your, so many stories I can't even imagine with all the projects you've been on. But I appreciate you giving me the time. I mean, I
Oh,
really
what a pleasure!
enjoyed it.
You're a smart interviewer. You ask good questions.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I really do. I've always enjoyed your work though. I have. I think you're one of those people. I mean, it sounds like, oh my God, he's blowing smoke, whatever. But it is true, Stuart. When you're in a scene with someone, you stand out. Yeah, I spot you.
Thank you.
You're just that
Thank
kind
you.
of
It's
guy.
very kind. It's very
Yeah.
kind.
But it's true. It really is. You really do capture it. But thanks for being on, and I'm wishing you
Anytime.
tons. Oh, thank you. I'm wishing you tons of success, and
Thank you. You too.
I hope I see you at some point here. We'll see.
I hope so too.
All right.
All
Take it
right.
easy.
You
Thank you
too.
so much.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Please don't forget to hit the subscription button and also hit the notification bell right after that so that you get notified whenever I have a new episode. And be sure to check out some of my other interviews. Henry Winkler, Jerry Mathers, Angela Cartwright, Shelley Fabre. It goes on and on. They're so great. Enjoy.